Just say hey.
Hey.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey.
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 Hey. So, is he dead yet?
So, I have my own sources that are inside the White House. And they're a black person, so nobody notices them or pays attention to them. Except, when they need a photo op, they're like, my African American, come over here. And according to my source inside the White House, he's okay.
So, I can't help but wonder.
He's bigger and stronger than ever. He just hit a new max at the gym. Yeah, I didn't even know they had a gym in Walter Reed. He just stepped right out of the ICU, right onto the thing, started doing squats, started doing benches, just did the whole circuit. He's doing leg presses. And you've never seen a meatier pair of thighs than Donald Trump's thighs.
I hate you.
He's like an Olympic speed skater. In fact, he did that just last year. He got in.
Turns out that truck ass is because he can deadlift 700 pounds, not actually fat. It's literally just muscle.
You've been there, you know.
I do know. I can also deadlift 700 pounds and have a giant ass.
Yeah. And according to my inside source, he looks a little bit better dressed like Apollo Antonono than you do.
That's fair. That's fair. So,
these are bad. Go ahead.
I want to pull over for a moment and say, I observed over the weekend that hearing Trump might die was the first time I had felt hope in 6 or 7 months, probably. And I was just like, when was the last time I felt hopeful? And it was just before Super Tuesday when we were still winning, before the DNC fucked us.
Well, I feel a little bit differently. I feel like there's always hope and we're always winning.
Okay.
I go out and I see more and more people who are activated to care about themselves and each other and the world around them. And these are not wins that make the news. Your interactions with other people. It doesn't get to MSNBC, but they are wins. And they are things that do have a material difference in people's lives and shit like that. So I haven't felt hopeless this summer, despite all the bullshit. Because as long as people are awake and aware, and they're getting more awake and more aware every day, because things are so twisted up that there's not room to ignore it unless you're over the age of 55.
Yeah, that's fair. I think as it seems more and more likely that Trump is going to live, I'm sinking back into my hopeless place. So maybe that's what's going on with me today.
Well, first of all,
do you think he's going to live?
I don't think he's out of the woods yet, because he's the kind of person who will immediately leave the hospital and do some dumb shit to make things worse. He's just somebody who has a death wish. He will not respond to rationality or reason. And one of those things that he's missing is it's rational to not put your security guards at risk of getting an infectious disease. It's a really sweet gig. You get to be president and they give you a squad of guys and they're like, these people will defend you with their life.
Right.
So your first thought should be, this is cool. I got to make the most out of this. Apparently Trump is we'll make them pay for my hotel. And I'll just generally tick around with them. And I will also make them drive me around the back of my car when I get COVID, because I want to be back at work as soon as possible.
Yeah. You don't really foster loyalty in people that way. No one's going to want to die for you if you make it that obvious that you won't care when they do,
Yeah. I mean, if you're a Secret Service agent and you've been here with Trump and you're in the room and he's talking about the troops or whatever, and he's like, I don't know why you trying up to do a job like that. You're getting shot. That seems like a way to lose, not a way to win. My goodness. If you're there and you're in a $200 suit, it's fucking itchy. I don't know how much the suits are at the Secret Service. Either way.
I assume they're nice. I assume Secret Service members are well paid, right? You wouldn't want to pay them $30,000 a year so that they can be bought out,
Sure. But either way, you're sitting there. You've got to sit there while he's like, these people are getting shot. They're idiots. And you have to be generally, just in the history of dictators, You generally treat the people that are close to you very well. That's Dictator 101 type shit. Maduro, the whole world against Maduro. But you know who had Maduro's back as the coup was happening and all this stuff is going on? The military.
Yep.
And it's not because Maduro's a genius. It's because this is just control of power 101.
Right. Control the guns, control everybody else. It's like the basic sort of anarchist tenet, the state exists at the end of a gun. Like,
you can't be fucking coughing on your guns, Rachel. This is not good.
Wait. I don't know. I feel like, okay. I feel like Trump does surprisingly well with the military. But I don't know. Like, I'm not super in touch with the military either,
Well, you know who was the most popular with the military? Bernie Sanders.
That doesn't surprise me. People who understand power, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like people in the military probably understand power in a way that a lot of civilians don't.
You're thinking of the officer class. Certainly officers who go to college understand power.
No, not even. I'm talking about sort of like the intuitive understanding of what it means to be like willing to shoot somebody or to be part of that situation where like you are killing for something, Sure. And that is like the root source of these kinds of power, right? Is the capacity to end somebody's life. It's the barrel of a gun thing. Like,
most of the enlisteds that I personally know don't think this deeply about political philosophy.
Well, yeah.
They've got a duty and they need to pay their college bills and they're happy to do it.
I think intuitive understanding is real, though,
Okay, yeah, sure.
Like, I think that you can have sort of unspoken understandings of how things work, and it's like the sort of concept of like Nietzschean ressentiment, like that you can resent these people who have all of this power over you without necessarily having this like deep intellectualized understanding of the mechanisms of power itself.
And, most of these troops are younger people. Sanders does well with young people. It's not a shock. I don't have any data on how much they are contributing to Joe Biden now. I couldn't tell you that. But I do know that in terms of number of donations and average dollar amount, and I think total dollar amount, Bernie was leading the field there. But you had a larger point when you're just talking about the military and Trump. And Leslie, hello. If you'd like to come on, you know where our backstage key is.
Mm-hmm. Probably. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I at this point feel like I don't know anything. Like, I don't trust any of the polls anymore. You know what I mean? I don't trust like the media anymore. I don't trust my own fucking eyes anymore. I don't believe anything. Like,
it's funny that you say that because the media reports of how things are seem to match my personal experience with like there are a lot of boomers that just want to go back to sleep. Mm-hmm. And I think those people are voting for Biden, not because they have revolutionary zeal, but this stuff on the news is giving them a headache. And with Trump, he's getting COVID. He's doing all that. And it feels like it's another episode in the reality show that I think the boomers are exhausted with and Trump is addicted to.
Yeah. I mean, I think like my father is probably a perfect example of the like moderate Republican. Like he's very problematic because he's an old white guy and you just sort of accept these things about that generation to a certain extent, right? As like preconditions. So he's got those sort of like well-intended, but still racist ideas, those kinds of things. He voted for Obama, even though he usually voted for Republicans because he thought it was important that Obama be elected. And then this year, he's just voting for Jo Jorgensen without even knowing who she is because he can't support either of the candidates. And like, he was like a Bloomberg kind of Democrat voter for the primary. Like, and I feel like he's pretty typical, right? Of this sort of like class of people that the Democratic Party is ostensibly trying to recruit right now.
Completely organized around.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like their target demographic, and he's so alienated by everything they did that he's like, fuck it, I'm voting for literally whoever the libertarian is. I don't care.
By what they did, do we mean the primary antics of the app and
It's
the
mostly just
rigging
the
and the
fact that they put
endorsements.
Biden of all people in. Like my dad's a geriatric neuropsychiatrist, right? So like,
Well, neuropsychiatrists for Biden is a small group,
for
man.
elderly people specifically, yeah. And I mean, his actual clinical opinion is I wouldn't vote for this person because he's not cognitively able to do the job. Like, so he's voting for Joe Jorgensen, and he didn't even know who it was. Like when he told me he was voting Libertarian, he's like, "I'm voting for that one." And I said, "Yeah, that's Joe Jorgensen," and he said, "I don't care." And I'm like, "Great, that's wonderful."
I think that, I think that's a fair way to vote.
Yeah.
We talk about voting for ideology, not person, all the time. So
Yeah.
if he's like the ideological vote, I'm voting for the Libertarian candidate. The Libertarian candidate this year is Air Bud, Dad. All right, well, there's no rule that says a dog can't be president. It's fucking fine. Listen, things get very weird and very wacky when there is a third party involved.
Yeah.
And as we're sitting here recording, there's a third party that comes by the studio, drops in, puts their head in, wants to get involved. So, and I have no idea how this is going to go. This could be a disaster. We've got a third party.
Right.
We're going to bring her on for a second. We'll see what she's like, what she wants to do.
Yeah.
Alyssa, hello. You're our third party. Remember that you're on mute, and you're the wild card of the day. What's up?
Shit.
How are you?
Realizing that my computer's a little too close to my face. Trying to balance that out.
Yeah. Which
Our
is
views-
like, you gotta get it directly under the chin. Like you want to get to like right
God.
here for like maximum ideal angle. Like right this.
I was just
Our viewers. Oh God, don't do that. What is it?
Wait, let's watch the numbers. We're gonna watch the numbers and see if the numbers go up or down while I'm at this angle.
They're going up for Alyssa, but they're not going up for your little goofy face. Why do white people think that face is funny? What's going on over there?
Because it's like the only time we don't flatter ourselves. I don't know. Like, what do you want from us? We're vain. That's why.
Put my lipstick on for this. Let me play.
I don't know how to do this. I have a beard. This is not going to work for me. But
I have a beard too. You just can't see it in this lighting.
I love that. So Alyssa, we're sitting here and we're talking about Donald Trump is not obeying the laws of power. He is operating outside of the gangster code because he is not protecting his bodyguards. They're getting COVID. Like the fact that he's got COVID and he's almost dying and all that is old news. I really want to talk about, he gets in and he's like, I want to lock myself in a car with my most trusted security before I'm fully cured of a contagious disease. You know this motherfucker's probably in the car fucking coughing, talking about my throat's just itchy. Don't worry, guys. And they have to be like, yes, Mr. President.
I just choked on a little bit.
And they can't roll the windows down because that would be a security risk. So they're just literally trapped in a. They actually, this is the thing I found out about the presidential motorcade. They are literally hermetically sealed so that they can't be like attacked by gas.
Right.
Which means that they're literally as trapped in this car as they can possibly be with the virus. Like every single one of them has it now. You all have it now. I'm sorry. Go to the hospital.
He wasn't wearing a mask, right?
No, he's not wearing.
Like,
I think
the masks don't do that much. They don't save you from being in the presidential motorcade like 2 feet away from him while the air recirculates. Like,
I wonder how many of those people were like, "Fuck it, I'm just done. Whatever."
Well,
take me out with Earth COVID.
You know what though? It does make me happy. I know that like there's a whole lib line of like we shouldn't be celebrating other people's suffering right now, but the fact that like the entire Republican Party has it now because they're dumbasses is great. Actually, it's like the one thing that's made me like joyful in the last month.
I want to come back.
The left isn't full of joy, motherfucker. Check us out now.
I want to come back. I want to come back to the Republican Party having it. How much can we gloat? Our dignity, our decorum, because as always, as a show that's built by and for the working man, I wanted to spend I want to spend a couple more minutes on our poor Secret Service folks that are trapped in the hot car with the baby and the baby's got the plague. Because another rule of power and this is more like this isn't like an executive power. This is just hood power. Don't mess with another person's money. If you're a Secret Service agent and you get COVID, it has lasting effects, right? So, like, we assume that you probably will shake it off, but potentially you're rolling the dice with, if I have something that goes to my lungs, I can't pass the physical, right? Like, I can't be a bodyguard, and I can't even be a bodyguard at a club no more. If I get shit up, hey, I'd like to be the bodyguard at the club. It seems like you are messing with not just like their safety. And if you're signed on to be Secret Service, you understand like your safety is forfeit. Some shit could happen and you got to die on a boat. That's what happens. But your livelihood is in danger. That is worse to me, right? Like, imagine if, Rachel, you were in something that as you stood by this person, you became less hot or something like that. And you would be like, how can I profit? You're taking it away from me.
Yeah, this is every time Rara and I are on stream together. It's fine. I already know how to cope with this.
Okay, that's fine. On perfect timing, Leslie's also here. I started this show fully planning to be Matt Christman for the day. I had like 5 articles. I was like, man, I'm just going to sit up here and rant at the camera. But luckily, like Avengers Endgame, the portals opened up and they all stepped out of the portals at just the right moment. Leslie,
Actually,
how are you?
I'm good, and the women stepped in.
That's right. And listen, this is like Avengers Endgame. Y'all got like 20 seconds out of that 3-hour movie, and I assume that was enough to make half of the population happy. They posed together, and feminism.
We'll go another day without killing all of you, and maybe that's enough.
I mean, as long as I'm okay. As long as I'm okay, it's fine. These other guys, I don't.
So far, you're okay, Brandon. I mean, the day's not over, so.
Yeah.
That's so true. So given that, let me pass the floor. Leslie, Trump is just messing with people's money, right? Like that was we're both Negroes. People get mad when you mess with their money, their livelihood. And well, Trump, he's in the back of the car.
I mean,
yeah.
Well, I think everybody, you don't have to be a Negro to be upset when you mess with somebody's money.
That's extra. People get extra mad. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, the bougie in me more so than the black in me.
Right.
Like, don't. Remember, I'm cheap. I even got my youngest son on sale. Don't screw with my money. So, yeah, that's my discount baby.
I'm look.
My discount baby.
Later. I do know this story.
My discount baby. Anyway.
Yeah, I do. I have a discount baby. But yeah, Trump, first of all, I think he moved to Florida because he now thinks he's a Disney princess.
Okay.
Because that whole, like, thank you, Alyssa.
Which Disney princess would Donald Trump be?
Oh. I'm off mute.
Let's see. I think Cinderella.
Oh, I was gonna say save it for the post show. These are the takes that we can.
Yeah, that's
If you want to hear me say why I think he's Cinderella, and hear everybody argue with me, go to the post show.
But dude, those are my 2 hot takes last night. Where I think he thinks he's a Disney princess, and I don't know if he understands the whole thing about drive-bys, because you're not supposed to kill the people in your vehicle with you.
That's it. We have to roll up. Those are the 2 funny things.
Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Brandyn and Rachel. No. Yeah, he's just not obeying the laws right now. He's making bad moves.
The legal, actual on the books one, and also like the unspoken de facto social.
Exactly. And now he's breaking the actual set of laws that actually.
He's the law and order president, except for when it comes to him.
He's not street laws. He don't know nothing about those laws. So anyway. Let's move on and let's talk about.
Fair, he's only ever interacted with like maybe a total of 200 people, and the rest of them were all equally rich. So
So
It's not like any of them have ever experienced a street, even like in the abstract sense.
that's actually a perfect transition because
I actually feel bad for Kellyanne Conway's daughter. She didn't ask for any of this shit.
She's innocent.
I do too. And the comments that people like the same people who are saying don't wish Donald Trump's death are going up in the comments and being like, that nasty fucking kid, she's spoiled. She gets what she deserves. And I'm like, you guys are just
God, let me say a
Oh my
couple
God.
of things that relate to that. Growing up like an upper middle class person, one, the amount of just psychological and emotional abuse that exists as the baseline level of interaction for every single person in the entire upper class is impossible to overstate. Like, they are all sharks. They will turn it against their own children. There are no kind people in the upper class. There are at the best nice ones. And those kids, all of those kids are traumatized. All of them. There is not a single member of the upper class who is not traumatized. Does that justify them doing the shit they do? Of course not. These are reasons, not excuses. But when we're talking about like the kids themselves, like, I promise you, they would give up all of the money to feel loved and to feel supported and appreciated, and none of them do.
at the end of the day, I agree with that. And I also just think like fucking this is a hard one for me to say, but like, because I'm trying not to make jokes at Kellyanne Conway's expense right now while talking about Claudia, but like, what's their dinner team like? Like, isn't
no.
husband the fucking leader of the Lincoln Project?
Yeah.
That little child is probably like has made it abundantly clear that she does not feel safe, and now we got the fucking virus. Like, people are calling for compassion in all the wrong places, in my opinion, and also it's like Claudia should have compassion. Is what I'm saying. If that wasn't clear,
yeah. Can I throw a theory at y'all? Because we always talk on social media about grifts, grifting, grifters, all that kind of stuff. Does the Conway daughter, does she seem like someone who maybe her parents have genuinely been fighting over this for 4 years?
I think so.
I have no idea. I think it's plausible.
I think so, and I think she's on her dad's side.
Like Kellyanne, like, we assume that Kellyanne Conway, somebody who was working for, I think, the Gingrich campaign in 2016, and literally just went on TV and just slammed Trump over and over. We assume that she was just working there as a mercenary, but perhaps she is now genuinely a Trump stan. You know, you get paid if somebody pays you long enough.
I don't think any of those people develop those kinds of loyalties ever, frankly.
Then what's screwing up their kid? Are they just both distant?
They're both miserable, selfish, unchallenged people who have been taught that you can step on anybody and take what is yours, but they have never at any point been taught how to empathize or how to look at another person's point of view or how to meaningfully consider the way their behavior impacts other people. And being raised by those kinds of monsters is inherently traumatizing. What's the name
of Kellyanne Conway's daughter? The TikTok?
Claudia.
This seems anti-Claudia as a statement. And I know she's a kid, but I want to weigh this with y'all. Is it possible that she is also kind of behaving selfishly as a kid that's getting on social media and dunking her parents?
Selfish.
That's fine.
She's a kid.
I mean, this is where I get back into, though, she was thrust into a situation, and so, like, irrespective of, I don't think she's old enough to be considered grifting. Maybe old enough is not.
I didn't say grifting. There's no money out. I mean,
totally.
And she's going to have celebrity anyway because she's George Conway's daughter and Kellyanne Conway's daughter. So, she's
using what she's got, and she happens to be a kid, and kids tend to be over the top when they're angry.
Especially teenagers.
But I was going to say, but she's rightfully angry. I believe she's rightfully angry. She sees what her mother's doing. I don't think her father's much better just because he's in the Lincoln Project.
No, they're all bad.
Right.
The Lincoln Project's a shit show too.
Right, but I think she's going full bore on her mother because she's in the limelight and she's representing Trump. And if I had, if I was her in this day and age, I can't see me not doing that. Why wouldn't you? I mean, she's got her own.
On all of that all the time. It's like what most of my Twitter is like. Is me being like, fuck all of the political establishment. So like, I think that's a
right.
How
so she's living this.
Yeah,
she's living with this every day. She's got to get that out somehow. So I'm like, more power to you. I totally get it.
Seriously.
Well, and it's not like she's stupid. It's not like she doesn't see how this impacts other people. I would imagine she feels a great amount of shame about it, especially because upper class culture is so shame driven. Like, fundamentally, primary motivator is to avoid being shamed, right?
Yes.
And the entire world right now is talking about like her mother as, this essentially toxic and evil force that's killing hundreds of thousands of people, and talking about like all of the things she's doing in these very harsh and uncompromising ways. Yeah, I would be ashamed if
Claudia's not. Yeah, Claudia's not the right necessarily.
Right, but she's of it, right? She's from it.
Right.
And she's shaped by it. And even if she ultimately leaves it and becomes like a full-blown socialist, which, hey, Claudia, like, for real, we're cool. Come hang out. I'll be nice to you. I promise. Like, for real.
I'll be your mommy.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, we will take care of you here. I promise. That's like our whole MO is taking care of people. But, like, I think, even if she does that, it doesn't change the reality that that's where she came from. And it's the kind of thing you spend your entire life not even unlearning, but just learning how to create scaffolding around and how to cope with. She's never going to get that childhood that was safe and secure and happy. It's never going to happen. All we can hope for her is that she escapes it.
Yeah, Alyssa. And then we have... Yeah, sorry. I can't adapt. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Alyssa, I am ordering you to refocus and then speak.
Sorry. So, my child's outside, and I'm like doing the like.
Oh, that's a much better focus than us, honestly.
I get it.
So I'm like, speaking of people not parenting, my kid's outside playing while I'm over here. But what I was gonna say too is like, even before Kellyanne Conway was the fucking mouthpiece for idiocracy in the United States, like even before that, I can't imagine that being a safe or loving place to have been raised. So to be honest with you, I'm kind of impressed with Claudia already because it's abundantly clear that she's got two jackasses in charge of her sense of well-being and who are not putting that anywhere at all. I'm impressed that she's at the state that she's in, and it seems to me that she's been forced to grow up a little bit earlier than some people in her dominant culture would have been forced to grow up in those same ways. So I think it's cool that she's thinking independently. Claudia, like we said, we love you, girl, if you want to come be a socialist with us or a Marxist,
really,
communist or whatever. But it is surprising to me that she's having this backbone when you see that her mother doesn't have one. And also just like, I don't know, like look at that woman's face. I'm not one to bring up bodies or faces or anything like that, but she looks like the fucking soul has been sucked out of her for so long that she's holding on to her skeletal fleshly remains.
Like, it's not actually her entire body. It's not even her entire face. It's a look in her eyes. You know what I mean? It is like it's a permanent facial expression that has just been like burned into her features like an after image. You know what I mean? Like you can just feel the just shark-like void.
The absolute humanity leaving her body every fucking second.
Yeah, no, I get it. You can tell with some people just by like looking at how their eyes and their facial expression are.
What I keep getting, I'm sorry, Brandon, I didn't mean to step on you, but what I keep getting is that her daughter, and you'll probably agree with this, Rachel, but she was probably raised by nannies.
Yes, absolutely.
She probably doesn't know her parents, except for, you know, them bouncing in and out of the house in between fundraisers and, you know, events and whatever. And so what she knows of her parents, and I'm being a little facetious, but much of what she probably knows about her parents is what we know about her parents, what she sees on TV.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I
she
mean,
does.
If I had to put money down, they spend about 3 weeks a year on vacation together. It's the only time they actually spend together outside of like meals. But even then,
I wouldn't even think that they spent meals together. I mean, I don't know about
like
you, but
fancy meals, like occasional meals, you know what I mean? Like holidays and stuff like that. They like go to parties together. They have those sort of like social interactions together, but it's all, you know, very like defined. It's very controlled, you know?
Right. It's
like
scheduled.
that sort of like yeah, exactly. Scheduled is a very good word for it. It's very scheduled.
And that's what I see from her. And, you know, as someone who's raised bougie, I wasn't raised with nannies. I was raised with a latchkey kid whose parents just threw money at me. So, you know, I can kind of see where she's trying to raise herself, and she sees what's going on. She's taken her father's side to a point.
Yeah.
Because her mother is working for a monster, and she can see that. I think if her mother wasn't working for Trump, she'd probably be going after her father.
Probably.
I think that makes perfect sense. Listen, I want to, if to segue us from Kellyanne Conway, which is an interesting story, I want to talk about another daughter of a sociopath, Ivanka Trump.
You know, I actually strongly relate to Ivanka Trump.
Okay. You got a take?
Well, kind of, right? Because, like, we have a similar dad. Like, our dads have similar...
Your dad is not as bad as Donald.
No. Well...
I know he has... I know he has a
live TV.
Yeah, I know he has a streak. We don't need to put him on blast. But
exactly.
Come on. But Trump is...
No, I mean, well, no. Like, my dad isn't currently president of the United States and killing 200,000 people. Like, he's saved more lives than he's ended. My dad is better than Donald Trump, easily. Yeah. But, I mean, they have similar personalities.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I know what it's like to sort of grow up apologizing for your dad.
Yeah.
And I relate to that. I really do. I relate to sort of having to manage other people's shitty expectations of me because they know my father, you know? Yeah. And I always sort of saw that in her. It was just like, man, like, I get it, though. Like, you still suck a lot, but I get it, though. I don't know.
Okay, well, Trump's coming out.
What's she doing?
Trump's coming out, and he's driving around with the Secret Service. And how are the kids reacting? Don Jr. has hit his breaking point, and he's just been, he's not in the direct inner circle. So he's going through Jared and Ivanka and telling them, you've got to slow this down. And all of this, folks, is according to Vanity Fair, that he thinks Trump's acting crazy. And went to Ivanka and Eric and Jared to get all of the kids together because he knows he can't take Donald in a one-on-one confrontation. But if Ivanka's like, Daddy, please, and Jared's like, Daddy, please, and Eric's like, come on, they feel like all together they could convince him to go back to the hospital. But Ivanka has apparently been pushing back against that and saying, look, he's getting through it, and he's the mastermind. He's become the president, and we should just let him operate. He's doing great. So just a very interesting situation. How do you feel? Why do you feel like the kids are reacting in the way that they are? Maybe Ivanka just doesn't mind if her dad dies. And we don't know the full history between those two, but
my assumption is they have been fed a line that they are allowed to say.
Sure. And
they are to varying degrees deviating from that line based on their sort of loyalty to their dad.
Yeah.
My assumption is that Ivanka is the golden child. And so for people who did not grow up in abusive households, the golden child is part of like a dynamic in abusive households where parents will pit the children against each other. Yeah. Pit the children. Pit and pitch. I don't know. Pit the children against each other by favoring one and sort of disproportionately criticizing and attacking the other. And it's pretty common. And you see Trump doing this all of the time with everybody. Based on my like entirely outsider observations, it looks like Ivanka's the golden child, which means probably she's the only person who can ever get through to him on anything. And also she feels the most loyalty to him because probably everybody else resents her for it, for her being the golden child.
So, and this is like another chapter of our whole discussion of how much is grift and how much is real. If Don Jr. is like, he's gonna die, and Ivanka's like, no, he's fine. I was insinuating that things happen between them, that she's gonna just ride the train, like it seems like it's going on with Melania, and it's just cynical, and she's riding the train till the train stops. To what degree is it possible that she's just genuinely like, he's got it, man, he's got the touch, and I should leave him alone?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think part of it is there's nothing in it for Ivanka to tell him to go back to the hospital. What's in it for her to do that?
Yeah. Well, and it's not a fight worth picking, right? Because it's about his image. And I'm sure she has learned by now not to fight with him on issues of his image. Yeah. Because when you're a malignant narcissist, there's literally nothing more important. In spite of how much people like that try to pretend they don't care, there's nothing more important than the way people perceive you. So if you want to send somebody like Donald Trump into a tirade rage where they will like actively seek to hurt you and cause you harm, especially as their kid, right? Like make them feel bad about themselves.
Maybe just as an inter-family thing, Ivanka doesn't want to be the one that hits that button. And she feels like the other sons, who they know their place in the hierarchy, are going to make her be the one to hit the button ultimately. Like Don can add.
I would bet you she's hit the button privately.
Sure.
I'm sure that privately she has expressed concerns and tried to talk some sense into him.
You know how sometimes people will come to you for help to partner on something, but because of their stature and yours, there's an understanding that you will be the one that actually does it. Mm-hmm. So that might be a situation where Donald is going to Ivanka saying, let's team up and be in a group. But really, Ivanka knows this will be on me when it happens.
Well, because I'm the top son. It doesn't benefit Ivanka to do it. What's she going to get out of it? Don Jr., what he gets out of his dad being in the hospital is he gets to go on different shows and talk about his dad. Mm-hmm. She doesn't need that. So what reason would she have to push him to do that? If this is what dad wants to do, this is what dad's going to do. You know how dad is. I'm not going to fight with him over this particular thing because it does me no good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually
again, like this is the public facing thing, right? Like the amount of just tectonic force it would take to break the sort of bonds of loyalty in terms of public appearance that they certainly have. I mean, she's not going to do it over him being sick. She's going to do it over him betraying her or something. I don't think she's done.
And you know, the thing about Ivanka and Don Jr. desperately wants to be the heir, right? Like he desperately wants to be the heir of Donald Trump. But like he doesn't have the juice. Like just period, just from a charisma level, like Eric is even worse. Like if Eric didn't have money, he would like, I don't mean to say this in a classist way. I mean this in a grounded, down to earth way. He would be like rotating your tires. Like he'd be just a regular person. So Donald Jr. really wants to be the guy. Don Jr. has like 5.5 million followers on Twitter. Ivanka has 10. Don Jr. desperately tries to whip those people up. Ivanka has more without even attempting to do that. Ivanka's the number one kid, and Ivanka is not even super into maintaining his legacy. And Junior actually is. And I wonder to what degree he's like, the longer my dad is alive, and I don't even know how conscious level this is, the longer my dad is alive, the longer I can be my dad's son.
He's very Prince Charles.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is with Charles, it's a hereditary thing, and Charles could be the king and leading and being a figurehead. if it wasn't for his parent being alive. So I'm sure there's quiet resent. Although, like,
oh, that's not quiet. That's not quiet. No, he's wanted to be. She could step down. She could abdicate at any time. Yeah. She's not going to, and she's made it perfect. She made it perfectly clear when she was ill that she's going to bypass Charles and go straight to William.
Oh,
and I think, yeah.
Is there a personal? Is this about Camilla? Is this like what is the?
Well, I mean, that's part of it, but Prince Charles was never what she and what's his name?
Yeah, Philip.
Philip, yeah. He was never what they wanted. He was too sensitive. He believed in the people. He wanted to go hang out with the people. He learned, I believe he learned Welsh when they sent him off to school, and he purposely did a speech that was handwritten for him. He rewrote it, would not give anybody the speech because he put a message to the Welsh people in Welsh in the speech to undermine his parents. I think that Don Jr. isn't that because he wants to be just like his father, where Prince Charles does not.
I didn't know all that about Charles.
Yeah. Prince Charles does not want to be like his mother, but he does want the crown. I think he's finally realized he's never going to get it. Don Jr. wants to be the Donald. Right. He tries to be the Donald. He tries to talk like his father, but he just doesn't have what it takes.
Yeah, he doesn't have the charisma.
I'm going to say something that's probably going to gross some people out, but this is the reasoning. Donald Trump, when he was younger, was good looking.
That's true.
He was good looking. Don Jr. is not.
Yeah.
I mean, he was okay. Let me look at young Donald Trump. Hold on.
Young Donald Trump is, if you like, he's probably around the same tier looks wise.
He was fine.
Mark Cuban.
Hot.
He was inoffensive
looking guy.
Yeah. If you're a woman, if you're a woman in the 80s and you see Donald Trump Sr., you're probably like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like somebody that I found attractive, but it was somebody that you wouldn't have kicked out of bed.
Right.
I sure would have.
Don Jr. is someone you absolutely would kick out of bed.
Don, I don't want to get into this thing. We have a private thing where I make fun of people Rachel dates. Donald Trump's not that bad looking. Yeah, Don Jr., I don't even know if it's the look, because there are people who are less attractive that have gotten a following in the Republican Party. But
I honestly think Don Jr. is more attractive than Senior. Neither of them are like great looking. But
these are the takes. These are the takes you come to our show for.
Okay.
Maybe it's just the fact that Don Jr. grew a beard, which was a very good choice because he has an exceptionally weak chin. I think the beard is doing a lot of lifting here. I'm looking at their pictures right now. I think the beard is doing a lot of heavy lifting on his appearance, being more powerful.
I think he needs a forklift because no.
Yeah.
Him
without a beard and him with a beard are like completely different levels of decency too. Like,
yeah, but back to
my
my
point. Chin. He's got a weak chin.
Yes, but back to my point. Yeah. He doesn't. Donald Trump has a certain kind of charisma.
Yes.
He does. Crass charisma.
Yes.
But Donald Jr. does not have it. He does not. He's a
tryhard.
I was going to say, he has an imitation of his dad, and it's a bad imitation of his dad at that. So I think that's a bit. And then, what is, Donald hasn't really created anything. What the hell has Don Jr. created? Absolutely nothing. So at least Trump Sr. can say, okay, well, I created this thing that, I made our name into a brand and I did this. Don Jr. doesn't, he can't say he did anything except for worked for his father. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's an adult man at this stage.
Yeah, what's he in his late
40s?
30s, early 40s?
Yeah, he's grown. So yeah, that's just it. It just is what it is. And is that the whole part of the whole lowering of the bar? Yeah, it is. And so basically, that's just what's going on with Trump and his kids, and his wife isn't happy either. She's at war with Christmas. It's just this whole thing with the Christmas. It is the F word. Yeah,
give me an effing break.
Which, by the way, is a normal opinion to have.
Yeah, actually, it's totally appropriate.
If I was the first lady and they made me do all that stuff, I'd do it because, you've signed on for that duty. When your husband had to talk with you and you stayed with him, you signed on knowing that was a possibility. But it's also fine to not like doing something just because you have to do it. So there's nothing.
It's also fine to think that decorating for the holidays is perhaps less important than reuniting children with their parents, which is what she was saying.
Sure.
Badly, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I figured there's some language barrier there too, and also, frankly, she sucks as a person.
Yeah.
But, it seems like the point she was making is they're so mad about me not doing the stuff for the kids, but they expect me to do all this other stuff too, and I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a good thing to have. Listen, she's also bad, and I don't want there to be any mistake about it. She's super bad. And as y'all know,
as much the face of evil as her husband, and reasons are not excuses.
That jacket was on purpose.
Yeah.
Right. Intentional and spiteful and hateful. Absolutely.
To own the libs.
Right. She's terrible. But she did have a point with that one specifically.
But the issue with this whole thing and my whole setup was, I don't mind that she doesn't like doing Christmas decorations. It's the fact that she's working for this party that is all about, they're destroying Christmas. The Starbucks cups. And really, it's hey, people want to have a life outside of celebrating these religious holidays. They want to go and either they're celebrating something else, or they just want to mind their own business and not be put in the middle of the politics of Christmas or whatever. So, given that, you are also trying to do the same thing. You just want your own private space to go live your life, and you're contributing to messing with other people who are trying to do the same thing you're trying to do and just chill and live their life. So we're not going to fully give her amnesty on being cringe and bad and those other things.
Right.
Because she's got a role to play here.
Acknowledging a single valid point is not an apologia for a person.
No, and I think she destroyed the rose garden on purpose.
I mean, fine.
I just think
a rose garden.
No, I do. I think she did it on purpose because of what she's saying about what she has to do and what she's forced to do. And she may not have really wanted to do it. So she's like, fine. And she ripped everything out and she put in these white flowers and she took out all the trees. It's fine, there, done. Screw you.
That is actually an incredible fucking point. I've never even thought about it that way. I just assumed that she had.
It's like when Britney shaved her head.
Exactly. I always have thought about this as I look at the new rose garden from a design standpoint. It's a little uglier, but it's really just a stylistic change. Yeah, I think people are overestimating the style. It's just a different design style. It's not war with trees. But if I interpret this instead of the lens I had it in, and just the lens of sloth, it was just her using that style as a way to throw the rose garden in the garbage or just take the ball and go home. I'm done with this because now it's just paved over.
Yeah, I'm not as good as the Kennedys. I'm not as good as the Bushes. I'm not as good as Michelle Obama. Well, screw them all. And she destroyed it. Just like he's destroying everything else. She just said, fuck it. That's what I think.
I think you're right. I think that's a really solid read of the situation. She was mad, and so she just said, fuck it, and blew it all up.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
Now here's the real question. Does that make her a feminist?
No,
because she was angry at the libs.
I mean, yeah. Well, she was angry at having to do shit, right?
Well, that too.
She was angry
at
at
the shitty, joke question, and I don't actually care. It was a punchline.
So, Brandon, I have a question. So, or everybody, what do you think about the fact that he's discharged himself at 6:00 tonight?
Have fun with that, buddy.
Yeah, I think he's being stubborn and putting himself at risk, and he's surrounded by people who are that don't care to protect him for whatever their reasons are. Whether they just don't want to put up with the hassle of challenging him because it's going to take up their whole day, or they're making money either way, or they don't have enough clout to actually be listened to. There is nobody that can protect him this month, and he's going into this debate. And by the way, this is all for, an election that he's likely going to lose. It just seems like you're throwing it all away for no reason, and we're all watching this in real time. But the greatest blessing the Lord can provide any of us with is foolish enemies, and we're lucky to have one. It's been a bad year, but the Lord said, "I'll give you this little gift, and maybe you can live to fight another day."
And it seems like the entire Republican Party is dead set on getting into a closed room together in spite of most of them having the virus. So, there's a good chance we're going to see several of them die in the next couple of weeks. And frankly, I could not be more happy about that.
Rachel, you've got to keep us on all these platforms. So we're wishing for a very long recovery for everybody involved here.
Yes.
Alyssa, how do you feel? What do you feel like you can say while remaining on air just about the health and safety of the Trump world and the Trump Republic, the Senate Republicans, all of those people? How do you feel about the civility argument of how civil should we be? How much should we care?
I've said this a couple times on a couple different shows now, but I think that there's the civility to me is something that we don't get to see displayed. I don't give a fuck if somebody's civil to me. What I care about is that they have my back when shit hits the fan. I don't I don't need to have to weed through who is there for me, who is going to be part of my support system, and who is just saying nice things so they can feel good about themselves or whatever. So I'm going to just say, I don't think civility will get us progress. And moreover, I don't think incrementalism will give us progress. And when we look at, I said this last night, I said it the other day, but it comes back down to what Malcolm X said, which is if you stick a blade 9 inches in my back and you pull it out 6 inches, that's not progress. That's not any. I still got a fucking knife 6 inches in my back. If you pull it out all the way, it gets to start to heal, and that healing is progress. So when people come to me like, "Oh, be civil, be nice," I'm like, why? That's false and multifaceted in so many ways. And so, for not trying to rant, but I'm really good at it. I think that the people calling for civility are the people who want to go back to having brunch and not knowing who the local or major politicians are, not having to deal with it. And again, I've said this before where I'm like, people got to recognize that shit's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable now, no matter where we're going from here, whether it's Biden, Joe Jorgensen, fucking Hallie Hawkins, all of these things, we have uncomfortable things we have to face coming up. And so if we're preparing for that, then we have to just, sorry, every time you put my face on full screen, it throws off my whole vibe. I'm like,
Andrea's the exact same way. Getting the Zoom, she just goes into shock, which is very weird because she streams all the time and the camera's in her face. I don't know what's happening. Leslie.
I know, darn, it's fine.
Yeah.
Leslie.
Well, but I do think that, as somebody, and I might be speaking just for myself on this, but who wants to see the absolute fucking establishment burn to the ground, capitalism, fare thee well. It's gonna. I had somebody tell me the other day, "Oh, well, do you realize all the things you're gonna have to give up?" And I'm like, I don't think you realize I'm moving into a dented trailer right now. Back is crushed on this thing. Shit's gonna get uncomfortable, and for a lot of people, it has already been uncomfortable, and so now it's just time to kind of cut the losses, prepare, and find who your comrades are. So civility doesn't help me find comrades, and it sure as shit isn't progress.
Leslie, you're an older person. You've gone through all of the phases. And we talked about this a little bit on Into the Abyss, and you had an argument that I would say at least like 50% convinced me and made me think about this in a different way. So can you talk to our audience of millennials and Zoomers and talk about, in these stressful times, the value of civility and kindness?
Well, I've kind of come full circle because I was screaming into the ether just like everybody else. And then I decided that, well, first of all, I have high blood pressure, so it's not good for me. So I just decided that I want to try to do better. Am I still pissed off? Absolutely. Do I still think Trump is a monster? Absolutely. Do I still think Biden is a shit show? Absolutely. But I don't have to be nasty to people to get that across. I'm tired of all the anger. I'm tired of all the vitriol. I'm tired of all the screaming. And again, myself included. So I'm going to try to take a step back and just be nice, and be nice when it's difficult, because that's when you're supposed to be nice. You're supposed to be nice to people who are not nice to you. You're supposed to do the right thing when people aren't looking. So that's where I am right now, and I'm trying to lean myself towards. I'm not, trust me, I'm not there yet. I'm still screaming at the TV and throwing things and shit. I'm in the headset of this is what I want to be. This is where I want to go. So I'm trying to be conscious of what I say, what I do, how I handle everything. Because, yeah, I mean, come on, just because I want us to be nice to each other doesn't mean I don't think people are stupid. I just don't have to say it that nastily to their face like I normally do.
Leslie Martin, you've got a book. It's called Forgotten Tomorrows, Crazy Todays. And people can go and they can type your name onto Amazon and they can literally get a copy of your book. That's your personal memoirs, and it's a great book, and more people should get themselves a copy.
Yeah.
There's also a game that we're just raising awareness for. You can join the Discord. It's called The Promised Land, and it's just all about building a really cool network. 60% of the revenue from this game goes directly to mutual aid and climate activism, which is hella cool. It's hella rad. We love it. And Alyssa, you're doing stuff on the campus on COLA. You've got a show, I think, like a podcast. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So if anybody hasn't heard me bitch enough about the University of California and higher education,
keep it to 10 seconds because I really want to get off the air.
Okay, there goes 5 of them. Check out California. It's on your Apple Podcasts. I'll link it on my Twitter. I'm not the producer of it, but it's a really good grounding, helps identify kind of the common threads that are going on that we're seeing both in California and across the states.
Okay. And Rachel, you're doing tons of things all the time, and we love seeing you. Yeah.
I never shut up. I never log off.
All right.
So through everything.
So everybody, thank you. There will be a post show. It might just be me. I don't know who'll be there. But everybody, thank you for watching.
My fucking fingers.
And we'll see you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.